please sign in. I just need, Marjorie can't see you guys, so she just needs to know who's here. All right, first we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, good evening. Thank you all for coming. First, we have any public comment? Seeing none. We, at 6:35, have an informational meeting regarding 1259 Mass Ave. Good evening. Yeah, evening. Where am I? 1259 Mass Ave, site plan review, and a packet was scanned to us. Hi, Nathan.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Good afternoon, Jen. Good, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Are you here for the 1259 Mass Ave?
Yes.
Okay.
Jonathan Markey, the engineer.
Okay, and what firm are you with, Jonathan?
Markey and Rubin.
Okay, welcome. Thank you.
Where do you want me to set up the...
There's an easel right there if you want to just pull it right in front of the stairs. And I'll just go into I have a little thing I have to read on an informational meeting. So we'll be holding an informational meeting on Monday, August 11th, 2014, 6:35 p.m. at Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass. To hear and discuss a development plan review under Section 8.4 protected bylaw of the Town of Lunenburg for use of current medical office building combined with the metal storage barn for landscaping supplies and vehicles at 1259 Massachusetts Ave, map 61, parcel 0026. Owners are Dwayne and Judith Blow, 1259 Mass Ave, Lunenburg. Applicant is Josh Brenius, 230 Great Road in Shirley. Materials are available for viewing at the planning office at 960 Massachusetts Ave in Lunenburg. We did post the public notice in the August 4th Sentinel and Enterprise, and there was an abutter list that was mailed out. And we also have in our packet a review from Whitnam and Bingham. So without that, if you want to go ahead, we're
Sure.
ready to go. I'll introduce myself. I'm Joanna Bellotta Simeone, the chair.
Nathan Lockwood, Vice Chair.
Damon McQuaid.
Matthew Allison.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Again, my name's Jonathan Markey from Markey and Rubin. We have developed a site plan for the proposed secondary building on the lot at 1259 Mass Ave. The proposed use for the secondary building is, like you read before, it's basically a storage facility. It's a 1 to 2 man landscaping operation, fertilizing. He comes in the morning, he loads up, he goes out for the day, he does the fertilizing, comes back at the end of the day. The size of the building has been sized for what he needs. The existing septic system on site is able to handle the increased capacity from the 2-man operation that's going to be proposed. We had initially designed the site with the intent of not paving the area, since it's such a the intensity of the use isn't really warranted for pavement, but we decided to go ahead and actually pave the area. So in going through the review process, I've reviewed the peer review from Whitman and Bingham. They do state that they hadn't received the environmental impact statement. I think it's a key piece of information that should have been reviewed, because I don't think that the review that they had provided would have really matched up, because it's such a low intensity use. You know, a lot of the things aren't really warranted, like the pavement striping and, you know, stuff like that. signage for no parking and what have you. So what I think I'm going to do is go through their letter, not tonight. I'll go through their letter and revise the plans, and I will be asking for a number of waivers from the parking regulations that will fit the site. And I think the board can be comfortable in the decision of granting the waivers such that that these waivers are being requested for this specific use. Any change of use on the property from here on in would require another site plan review. So, if he were to sell it and someone else were to come in and do something totally different that were, more retail-based or something like that, then certainly those requirements for off-site parking would be more pertinent. So, with that, I think that that what we're going to do is just revise the plans a little bit, go through the letter, ask for some waivers, and come back and meet with you again.
Okay. That's.
Yeah.
May I please address the board?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Cheryl Gould, I'm the attorney for the petitioner. And I wanted to ask the board's guidance with this because when we went before the ZBA for a special permit, many of the questions asked were probably the same questions that this board will be interested in. And I thought if I could lay out for you the type of business and the minimal additional traffic and resulting things, perhaps the board could give us some direction on where we go with the review from Whitman and Bingham.
Sure.
Would
go
you
ahead.
mind?
No, not at all.
So I want to make very clear that Mr. Brianis is under a contract to purchase from Mr. Glow, and that this has been going on for a couple of months now, and it's a little time sensitive, or both parties will be disadvantaged. Mr. Brianis came before the zoning board, and he stated that his business is going to have probably no more than 2 employees, that the garage is going to be on a slab foundation, that there's no storage of any kind of materials that would be injurious or hazardous in any way, that it's mostly for his equipment, which consists of maybe a landscape truck, a trailer, and some lawn mowing equipment and weed whackers. In the environmental impact statement, the engineer has stated that stormwater drainage paths will remain the same in post-development conditions, and any additional drainage infrastructure has been proposed from any roof runoff caused by the new building, which is going to be one of those prefab Merton buildings on the slab. No changes are going to be done to the existing building. I noted in Whitman and Bingham's report that they were concerned about two-way traffic and widths and frontage. We've received the special permit for the frontage dimensional variance, and that was because it was a pre-existing lot and that frontage was already short. And again, we don't anticipate more than 2 traffic trips in the morning and 2 traffic trips back at night to be any additional traffic to the site. There was some questions about the septic tank, and the proposal is to replace the existing septic tank with a new H20 strength tank, which would account for any vehicular traffic over that septic tank area. And that's going to be addressed with the Neshoba Board of Health and Mr. Griffey. The building will connect to the municipal water system, and the new use doesn't anticipate using any large amounts of water. No organic materials will be stored on site, no stockpiling of compost materials, and all fertilizer products are in bags that are marked for their safety and care and retention. The ZBA asked the following questions: if there's any snow plowing services. There are not. Any repairs of equipment conducted on site, there will not be. And any minor repairs or cleaning would be done indoors. All seed fertilizers and equipment would be done indoors. We're hoping to lease the medical building back to a similar service-related medical use. And we were asked about the maneuverability of trailers on the site, and as you can see, all the traffic really gets in off the road for quite some distance, and any activity would be way in the back of the site. So, as the engineer stated, I don't understand whether Whitman and Bingham's review will change when they see the environmental impact study, but I think many of these questions are answered by those facts that I've just relayed to the board. And I don't know if it's productive to go through one at a time.
Well, the engineer will walk us through the bullets from Whitman and Bingham.
Oh, is he here today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're here for this, right? Sure. Yeah, come on up.
Good evening. Wesley Fliss, Whitman and Bingham Associates. I know you received my letter on Friday. I had emailed it to Marjorie, and she had forwarded it out for you guys to look over at the weekend. I can go point by point on this, or I can go over some of the issues and groupings if you want. I don't know how the board wants to
Just go point by
handle
point.
the letter.
And then
Okay.
if we can highlight the ones that were spoken of.
Sure.
We can go through those.
Item number one, the attorney just touched on this. We wanted to make sure that, obviously, the frontage being less than what the zoning requirement is was taken care of, and it sounds like they've already taken care of that with the ZBA.
So
Parking
that was done by the ZBA. We can all agree on that, okay?
The parking calculations, again, something that's standard. Even if it's only 2 employees, the calculation should be shown on the plan, and at least, the conversation could be had with the board at that point
Okay.
about how they want to handle the parking. Number 3 just goes along with the parking dimensions. Again, it was just basically shown as an area of pavement on the plan. It's up to the board. Again, the design engineer said that they're going to ask for some waivers. I know in the past, on some of the smaller projects, I think the board has granted waivers of similar fashion, so that's up to the board on how they want to handle that requirement.
Okay,
Number 4, we're just talking about basically how we get to, from the zoning, basically to the subdivision regulations. And then it's, I think as we've talked in the past and doing some of these reviews and also doing some of the design in the town, we know that the zoning goes hand in hand with subdivision regulations when it comes to site plan and also with regards to your parking requirements and other requirements that you have in the town. And so we're just making reference to that section. Number 5, the design engineer touched on it. Obviously, they're going to use the existing entrance. We just stated what the requirement is in the town. It's up to the board if you want to waive that section of the zoning with regards to the width of the entrance. I know, again, this point comes up again where there's some variances between this regulation and a couple other regulations, just on how the entrance dimension should be. Again, it's up to the board and how they want to handle that item. Number 6 is just another housekeeping item where the elevations on the plan appear to be from an assumed elevation. The regulations call for an elevation that referred to the NGVD elevation. 7, again, I don't know if the board, on something like this, I know that the attorney mentioned what kind of building was going to be put up there. I know in the past, on some of the bigger projects, the board has wanted to see facade information with regards to this building. I'm not sure if it's up, it's basically something that can be waived by the board. Just, again, stating how the regulations read on a lot of these items, at least for the first 13 items. Number 8, there's no dumpster shown on the plan. I'm not sure if there's going to be, how much waste is going to be produced by this project. I'm not sure if they're going to share a dumpster with existing use, so it should be clarified on the plan or else in a narrative on how that's going to happen. Number 9, I'm not sure if this maybe was taken care of in the EIS possibly or the submittal package. What we had basically received was the drainage calculations and the site plan to review. And so some of these items, again, the photographs, also number 10, they said they submitted the EIS to the board, so we have no problem taking a read through that. Number 11 gets back to the egress and how the dimensions are with regards to the egress. Again, like I said, there are like 3 different sections within the town regulations that conflict with each other. We just made sure that all 3 items were listed in our letter. If the board wants to waive all 3 of them because they feel the existing entrance is sufficient for the use, it's up to the boards. Number 12 and 13 just refer to the 2 different regulations from the site plan review to the subdivision regulations and also the parking requirements that the town has. Number 14 is a consistent waiver that the board has granted as long as the pipe material is able to take the less than 3 feet of cover that the subdivision rules and regulation requires. It's something that, like I said, the board has waived in the past as long as technically it's sound to do so. There's, like I said, it's probably 14 inches over the pipe. I know construction of such a shallow structure might be difficult, and so that's why we asked for the detail on how they would construct that catch basin. Just something that's typically required for this type of construction. Number 15 and 16 get into the pavement. As the applicant stated, they're going to pave the driveway now, or the parking lot now. Again, this refers back to the subdivision rules and regulations for pavement thickness, and I know dealing with the board in the past with regards to pavement thickness for parking lots, you have granted waivers for a little less thickness than what the subdivision rules and regulations, because we're not talking about a subdivision road, obviously we're talking about a parking lot. The one thing I would ask the applicant to do is just label the depth of the gravel they have under the parking, under the pavement. That wasn't labeled on the plan, just so we know what kind of waiver they're looking for that. 17 and 20 get into the town's parking requirements. Again, 17 has to do with the entrance, with regards to the dimensions of the entrance, with those other two areas. Again, if there's only two employees and whatever 2 or 4 trips, however it is during the morning time or in the afternoon time, it's up to the board at that time to figure out if that's going to be fine. And again, the applicant seems, I'm not sure if it's something the board would want to condition, that if another use comes later, obviously it has to have site plan review. I know it's in your regulations, but a lot of times regulations change. So you might want to double, kind of cover
As a
yourself a little bit
directive.
there. 18 has to do with snow storage removal. Just a standard thing that I know the board likes to see on the plan. I know out here there's not a ton of parking, but there's also, because of the basin location, might be a little more difficult on where the snow is going to be pushed off to the side. So it's just something that, again, something the board likes to see on the plan. 19 just refers to how the streets and sidewalks are governed by the subdivision rules and regulations, which we already talked about. 20, just more information needs to be added to the catch basin and the outlet from the catch basin into the basin, pipe type and so forth, and the invert into the basin should be shown on the plan. It is shown in the calculations and the drainage calculations, but a contractor typically never gets a copy of the drainage calculations. They like to just refer to the plan, so it should be shown on the plan just as a really housekeeping matter. 21. This is where, I guess, the meat of our letter comes, is 21 through 43 has to do with the stormwater calculations. And this is where some of the items in the stormwater calculations differs, I guess, from some of the stuff in the appendices. So that should be updated, be it runoff coefficients and how they go ahead and calculate the drainage. Some of it has to do with some of the standards that DEP has. The subdivision rules regulations, which is what you use for the drainage or utilities on any parking lot under your regulations, refers to DEP stormwater standards. And so in here I list stormwater standards and how the regulations read now. I guess they've been updated, and some of the numbers used in this refer to the older regulations. And so we talked about obviously updating the calculations to take care of some of the difference in soil types, so forth like that. One of the bigger items that kind of we see on that is just providing the soil test data, doing a deep test, just seeing what kind of soils are out there and the groundwater depth. What they provided was a percolation rate. The percolation data was from like 1993 to 1995, which we're looking at 20-year-old test data. Second thing with that is DEP no longer uses the percolation rate for anything with infiltration devices. It's by soil type, and so they just want to see groundwater depth and the type of soils there. So just something that should be updated, obviously in the field, just to verify what's out there, because most of all their drainage is infiltration, and so that's our concern, is just to make sure that what they're proposing can work afterwards, because they're, at the end of the day, even in the EIS is what they're telling us is their drainage today is mimicked later, and to do so they have to make sure that the soils are consistent with what they're calling for in their report. And so that's all we're asking for, is just to make sure that all their ducks are in a row, be it with the soil testing, be it with the way they calculate the drainage and so forth. And that's where I think, like I said, the meat of our letter is stormwater. The rest of it has, as the applicant's engineer said, they're going to ask for waivers for certain items that they don't see would fit a project of this size. And then at the end of the day, it's up to the board and how you guys want to handle that. Just want to skip ahead to the end of the letter, to 44 through 51, just go a couple of the items there. 44, there's something that needs to be taken care of with regards to either the location of the water service to the new building. Either an easement needs to be granted from the abutter because they're showing the water service a foot off the property line
Okay.
to the abutting property, or the water service needs to be relocated. Obviously, we understand that the site's a tight site because of the way the septic system is, a large septic system. It takes up a good portion of their developable portion of their property. So it kind of hamstrung them a little bit in the design, obviously, with what they're trying to put out there for a building. And so they're limited to how offsets are with regards to septic systems and all that. So just to make sure that part of it's taken care of, so they're not impeding on somebody else's property. The other thing too is, and I know there was no development review board meeting with this, and it was something that obviously with a project of this size, it typically isn't, but I didn't know if the other boards in the town got a chance to see the plan at least. We made the comment about the fire department just getting a chance to see the plan. I know they have comments sometimes in regards to access to the building and just make sure that they can properly get access to there. So I'm not sure if that came up maybe in the ZBA review in those documents, maybe they had a chance to make comment there also. I know they spoke with regards to the septic system being reviewed by the Neshoba Board of Health. I guess our question there is because the testing was done in 1994, 95. We weren't sure if it was done under the old regulations or the new Title V regulations. And so that's why we just want to make sure that the system is able to handle the flows and if a Title V inspection was done on that system. Because if the new system has to go in, it might change their layout of their site. So that was the reason that question came up. And it's something that this board might want to just check with the Board of Health and just verify that stuff. Other than that, like I said, I think they took care of, at least with regards to the ZBA, at least that part of it's taken care of. So any of those questions that would have come up there, at least have already been addressed. So I'm not sure if the board has any questions of myself. I can answer any questions at this point, or
I've got one just for my own clarity. I meant to drive in there today on my way here, and I didn't. I apologize. Glow is there's no longer anybody in Glow, or is Glow Chiropractic still there?
Hello, Joshua Brianis.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Glow is still operating in that building.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
Okay. Because I thought someone said a new tenant was.
I might have said that if he's no longer there, it's anticipated we would have a similar type tenant, but he's
Oh,
still-
okay, that's what it was, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, because my question would go to, now there's gonna be parking do we consider the parking for the other building as well? Now, when we talk about the paving the parking?
if it's
because
an existing use, you're just looking at, well, I guess what they'd add, that's how we looked at it, is what they're adding is just for themselves.
Okay,
And I would think if the tenant has issues with parking existing, they would take care of it themselves, the other building, so. And that's how we looked at it, it was two separate entities from a parking standpoint.
but they're all using the same egress?
Same egress, yes, and that's where, again, it'd be up to the board if, I don't know how many customers the existing use sees. When I went out there was 2 cars in the driveway, so there wasn't a large traffic generator at that point. But it's something that the board can, I guess, weigh in their decision.
Well, because if, as she said, a new business comes in.
Well,
that's
if it's a
like-
change of use, it would have to come in front of you anyways, even if under the existing building. If it's a change of use, it would have to come back in front of you. If it's a similar use than what's there now, then they could continue on. And that's why I think the attorney made that point there, is it's a similar use, it shouldn't be an issue.
Impact.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, any other questions? Matthew, you want to start with?
Yes, I
Matthew
have
down
some-
the end?
I have some questions. There is no paving proposed over the system? I mean,
Over the existing system, no.
there is a small sliver of paving shown that is over one of the trenches. And I'm assuming there is no venting?
The way I look at the plan, it doesn't come over this system. It's over where the tank and the D-box are.
This line right here is the existing pavement.
You're looking at the existing pavement?
Yeah.
Existing MBI might be.
That's fine.
Yep.
Another question would be the existing access easement. Is a trench drain considered a structure? I mean, is that a grade or is that a trench?
That's a-
According to the old design plans, it was a trench with, it's a stone trench that has a pipe in it, I believe. I need to pull it out. Yeah, it's a 2 foot deep by 2 feet wide filter fabric with a 4-inch perf pipe in it. I can't verify that that's what was built, but that's what was proposed in the site plan layout in '94. And I have seen the stone trenches there. I don't know what's in them.
Okay. I was just curious about the accessibility of the access easement. But I see they do have a drive that connects through. There are 2 town parcels behind there. One of them's conservation, I believe.
Yeah, if I can comment on that. My belief is that if I can go over to the plan for a second. This was widened, this existing pavement was widened at one time during the installation of the trench drains in order to provide any type of access easements that would be anticipated in the future, because this is 22-foot wide pavement existing. There's also, at the end of this existing paved area, right here, there's a little bump out of a paved apron, which turns into an existing gravel drive that goes into that parcel that you were talking about, that back end that the town owns.
Sure.
So I'm not going to open up a can of worms here, but I am going to say that I believe that the intent of that access easement is to connect that into here.
It's a paper
It's
access.
just in the wrong spot. Do you have questions for
I have another question for Wes, actually. Isn't it common practice when there's an increase in flow for a septic system existing that there would be a Title V inspection and there would be a submission of a septic plan?
And that's what they had said. They were talking about working with the Neshoba Board of Health on that.
Okay.
So that's where.
And I mean, just saying that there's enough room in the system to facilitate the 2 additional people is good, but I think that the calculation should be made to show that it actually does work.
Yeah, I can comment on that. Plans have been submitted to Jim Murphy at the Neshoba Board of Health showing the calculations of the design flows of existing and proposed, as well as there has been a Title V inspection performed because of the sale of the property, and it did pass.
Great.
So it's just, it's pending review. Jim's on vacation for almost the entire month, so we're just waiting for his review.
Thank you. And one more question. The proposed use is only going to generate 2 times 2 trips per day, but a chiropractor appointment is typically half to a full hour appointment, and I don't know how many chiropractors or visits there are, but I'm wondering what the existing trips per day are?
Yeah, I don't know. I could look in ADT to calculate what per square footage what a medical office building generates. But I only did the calculation for the addition. I didn't do it for the existing use.
Okay, thank you. And you touched upon the snow storage. I'm good for now. Thank you.
All set. So yeah, my only question is, I guess for you, Joanna, see what your understanding is here. So, based on what's transpired here, my understanding is a lot of Wes did a nice job reviewing this. A lot of the points are in relation to the there are some substantive things about specifically the design, but there's also a lot of things related to the format of the plan and what's missing from the plan. So is the applicant going to come back before us with an updated plan, and then we'll decide at that point? Or, so my question is more a procedural question.
I was asking Chantel that because usually what would happen is the plan would come to us and it would be circulated to all the other departments and Board of Health, police, fire, DPW, so, and then they would come to a meeting, and, for example, all the drainage questions, Mr. Rodequin's, the highway director, would be able to talk to that, the driveway, and can the fire truck turn around? The fire chief would answer a lot of these questions that are in here as well, and we have not gotten to that yet. Okay. So, yeah, because usually we have that information before we have a public hearing.
Okay. Do you have a public hearing in regards to your development plan review? Site plan
I don't think so,
review?
because this is more of an informational
Right.
than a public hearing.
So I guess the next step would be to have the tech meeting.
The tech meeting with the 2 engineers, and that's with the 2 engineers and all the department heads, and they have it right in the planning board office, and they sit and talk about the plans and go back and forth on a lot of these things that are in front of us right now.
Excuse me, I don't have any problem with your proposal for the process, but I do believe this was published and noticed already
Yeah,
as a
it-
public hearing. And
yes.
so I would ask this board respectfully, would you just continue this either for do you meet every 2 weeks?
Yes.
And I don't know if 2 weeks is enough time for the engineer and Whitman and Bingham to get together and revise the plan and get it circulated, but I would like it if it could be 2 weeks. And then I think the only outstanding thing would be the Neshoba Board of Health review.
Sure, which that would be part of that meeting. They come to that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So what we would do is we would continue the public hearing, and we can do it for our next meeting, which I believe is the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. It would be the 25th is our next
Regular meeting.
regular scheduled meeting here at Town Hall. And what we can do is, if you're not ready, we can always continue it to another meeting. So if you haven't had a chance to get it all done by the 25th, by all means, just let the office know, and they would push you out, and we'll just continue the public hearing.
Okay. When I submitted the plans, I submitted 12 sets. I do believe that those sets were given to different
Departments?
departments,
Okay.
because I did receive, I was actually going to go to the meeting for the sewer department tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. Yep,
So
they
as you
would've
know,
gotten
there
one.
is sewer on Mass Ave, so in the event that the septic system weren't able to take, we could, just simply connect. I submitted paperwork to them for the change in use and additional use, and they said it's pretty much just a thing that they do at their board hearing.
Yes.
So I think everything's been submitted. I think
Okay.
it's just a matter of we gotta,
Get everybody in a room.
yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful. And we can work on that, Wes and Marjorie. All 3 of you can hook that up. And then, like I said, on the 25th, we can continue this public hearing to the 25th. And if you're not ready by then, we can just extend it out. And if you're ready, then we can move forward then.
Okay.
Okay?
I do have 2 more questions.
Oh, sure.
And
Go ahead,
one-
Matthew.
One comment now, actually. The outside storage area proposed adjacent to the building?
Yep.
Is that proposed to be open or covered?
We don't have any proposed storage right now, but that was part of the requirement that you get a special permit for any outside storage before the ZBA, so we asked for it at the same time in case there'd be future storage. It's proposed to be open but screened,
Okay.
if we use it at all.
Wouldn't that be required to stay within the zoning setback? I mean, it crosses over on the side.
I don't know the answer to that.
If it's covered.
I'm not sure that the ZBA gave us dimensions, so I'll make sure the engineer pulls that back to
Okay.
keep it within the zoning setback, because their approval of it was not dimensioned.
Well, if it's not a structure, it certainly doesn't need to be within the setback, because the setback is for structures, I believe.
But the fencing might need to be.
I doubt it. I doubt
We'll
it.
check that
Um,
and
and-
address it.
The other question is, there's two concentric circles at the end of the existing trench drain to the left of the driveway, and it's not labeled. I'm not sure. It's probably a leaching manhole.
I don't know what it is either. It was on the design plan from the site plan. I would
Okay.
have to go out and dig around and locate and,
I think it
get
should
some
be
rim
indicated.
elevations and stuff on it.
Especially since it is within the aquifer zone. And that was my two questions. And the comment would be that if there is existing sewer, I'm pretty sure that new construction is required to hook up to existing sewer if it's available. And this is new construction, but it's I'm not sure about that.
Yeah,
That was-
it's kind of a gray area because the system was over-designed with the anticipation of further development on the site. It was actually way over-designed.
Okay.
So that they always had the intended use of connecting something else into
Sure.
it.
That's not unusual.
Yep.
Very good. I just would like to have that looked into.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I would, any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay, I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing till August 25th at our next scheduled planning board meeting.
So moved? Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye. All right, thank you very much. Nice meeting
Thank you
you.
very much for your time.
And we'll see you on the 25th.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right. I'm looking. Okay, what she was saying. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so that is all. The information meeting, that we're done with that. And next up on our agenda. Appointment at 7 o'clock. We have an appointment for Emerald Place requesting for bond release. How are you?
Good evening, Madam Chairman, board members. For the record, my name is Jack Sullivan with Emerald Place Development. As you know, we're developing Emerald Place at Lake Whalum, and we're here tonight for a really two-part, a bond reduction and to discuss a bond release. I think you might have in front of you 3 letters, 2 from Jack Roddickins, 1 from Jesse Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. The reason we were on for hearing 2 weeks ago, there was a little miscommunication, so I asked that the meeting be postponed. And I met with Jack Roddickins, Director of DPW, the following day. Let me skip ahead. The letter from Jesse Johnson recommends that the board release all, I'm going to use round figures, all but $70-something thousand. Release 100.
71,553.
Here, you get it, okay. Jack's letter says release all but 65, but to be honest, the intent with Jack was to release 65 and hold the rest. I just want to be honest about that. I think his letter is a little,
Okay, yeah, because I've got his, and I was going to ask you, should we be adding the 65 plus the 71?
no,
No?
No,
Okay.
no.
So the 65 encompassed the 71 that,
No, that was totally separate. That
Okay.
was totally separate. The reason Jack wanted to release 65,000, I'm sorry, yeah, release 65,000 so that we could pave Lakefront Road, which I don't know if anybody has been by there today. All the equipment's there. We're doing it tomorrow.
oh, nice.
It should be done, depending on the weather, by Thursday or Friday, but Wednesday looks like it's going to be a washout. Right after that, we are going to redo Great Pond Road in our development. So I'll be looking for more funds from the bond to do Great Pond Road. And then we have to work out, there's a lot of uncertainty, if you will, on putting a bond on a private development. So we're as confused as everybody is. I mean, we did this in 2009. But that could be a discussion for the next meeting, because I don't want to complicate things right now. Jesse Johnson, review engineer, is confused about it. Anthony Cleves, our engineer from Whitman and Bigham, is confused about it also, and I'm confused about it. So I'm going to rely on the board members for that also. So before you is a letter from Mr. Rodikins. I'm not sure it's worded properly, but I'm just, again, in honesty, telling you that he recommended that you release 65,000, not, whatever the math is, 140,000,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, because Jesse's, I mean, his second sentence does say, "It is unusual to have a bond in place for a private development," so he'll leave that up to us, and I don't know, back in
Yeah.
2009, why, when, where, or how.
I think
If we look back on minutes.
Mr. Lockwood was on the board at that time.
I was too.
On the planning board?
I came on in
Okay.
2006.
Well, good, then you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, so maybe minutes will, I can't remember why
Okay,
we did the bond.
yeah. Well, part of it was, if I can, I believe this was the first overlay zone development, and nobody's quite sure how to do it. We had bought the property after it was already permitted by the previous owner.
Yes.
They had proposed to build a much more expensive development, and we changed everything, working with the town, so.
Okay. All right, so tonight, I'm looking at numbers here. And like I said, Jesse said to retain 71,553. And then Jack said to retain, so then Mike Savageau sent a letter. Did you get a copy of Mike's? He's saying that while the reviewing engineer's report recommends that all but 72 be released from the 202, Jack Rodikins is not in favor of releasing
Any of it.
any of it.
Yeah.
And so total is 2,002 that we've got.
Yeah.
72, and so then Jack is saying, I met with Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Murphy, the agreed upon amount is 65. So you're saying he wants to give you back 65 and keep all the rest?
Correct. Until probably the end of the week, to be honest about it, when Lakefront is paved.
Paved. Once
Yeah.
that's paved, then,
Then he's in favor to give it all back.
Okay.
But I believe it's going to have to take a meeting between our engineer, Whitman and Bigham, Jesse from David Ross Associates, in the board. Because there's a lot of things on Jesse's report that only refer, only for a subdivision. This is not a subdivision, so, but we can work that out later.
okay, so, well, we could put you on the agenda for the 25th.
Oh, yeah, I'd like
I know
to.
that date
Yeah.
now, so we could put you on the
Yeah.
agenda for the 25th and,
Yeah.
and figure that out.
Yeah.
And we can ask Jesse to come, as well as Anthony Cleves.
Yeah, and what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, Madam Chairman, is have a meeting prior to that with both engineers and anybody from the board who would like to attend that.
Absolutely, and we
So-
can see if Marjorie
Yeah.
can schedule that.
And even Mike.
And we can ask
yeah.
Mike and Jack to come.
Yeah.
And get that all squared away, if that works for you.
Okay. So-
Absolutely.
But tonight, I would like a release of the 65,000. And the reason we're doing Lakefront is that, as you know, we own it. We don't want it. We want to deed it back to the town. So we're going to pave it this week, and then the proper legal and engineering work will be done, and then we'll deed it to the town.
And so that's the road going, the rotary up,
Yeah, the roundabout, all the way down to, I think it was called Scooters at one time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, with the new restaurant there.
Yep.
Okay. Is there going to be someone that still plants flowers at the,
You guys. Oh, no, in the roundabout?
yeah.
No, are we doing that? That's us. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah,
We-
You're
yeah.
still going to keep that all pretty?
Oh, yeah,
That's our front entrance.
that's
Right.
right. That's us.
All right. Okay,
But you can have those solar compactors.
thanks. All right, so, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Okay, so all they're looking for right now is 65 to pave lakefront? Okay. And that makes sense to me. Does that make sense to the board? Do we have any questions from the
The
board?
question I had on this when I read it the other day was, is the only point that was questioned on the bond about the paving, or was there anything else that the bond was set up to protect that? Because all this is about was the paving holdback, but I don't know what the history was and what we had originally set the bond up for, other than the paving.
Okay. Do you wanna-
So Jesse goes through that
Yeah.
in his letter quite a bit, and it included things like planting trees, sidewalks, I
So
think.
we're satisfied with everything else.
Well, what we're proposing to do for tonight is, so Jesse went through the whole list, looked at the percentage completes along the whole thing, and in Jesse's opinion, all but 72 could be
Okay,
released.
so that's what
And that included withholding for things like some of the tree plantings, although he stated that he didn't think it was withholding probably quite enough to complete that job for the town to complete that job if it came to that. So Jack, on the other hand, from what I tell, is mostly focused on the roads.
Yeah.
And yet, in his assessment, he's actually recommending releasing significantly less. So I think, my personal opinion is if we
Okay.
authorize the release of the sum that they're requesting, which is what Jack authorized, we're covered based on an assessment done by our engineer for that was kind of more full spectrum, I guess. The analysis of, what needed to be bond, what's been done, that kind of thing.
So right now, we're not really even looking at Jesse's request, because you're going to get in a room with Jesse, and on the 25th, there might be a different request with the balance of...
Exactly, and we're only looking for half of what Jesse had recommended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because there's 202 minus 65, we're still going to have that balance.
That's
And when
right.
all of you meet in a room, that might differ. So that might be a different number based on that.
Yeah, and some of the things, as Mr. Lockwood was just talking about, were bounds. Well, it's not a subdivision. Street trees, we have so many trees planted out there, but again, it's not a subdivision. But we'll work that out with the engineers and the board, so.
Yeah, as far as it not being a subdivision, it is kind of a special case because it's an
Oh,
overlay
no.
district. So I think
Yep.
probably, and I only came in, when I came on the board, we were kind of in the tail end of this, but I think the intent, from what I recall, is it's not a subdivision, it's kind of a unique thing, but there's a lot of characteristics that are very much like a subdivision. So
Sure.
I think that the intent was pretty similar, I guess.
Well, and that's why I'd like to have the meeting with the engineers.
Right. And I think the road was a big part, too,
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
owned the road, and then we were gonna, so we wanted to make sure if we were getting the road, that it was up to
That's right.
a complete brand-new road. So I
And
think
the
that-
roundabout.
Yes, and the roundabout. I think that was all part of that as well. All right, so with...
question.
Oh, yes.
Did I misunderstand that Jack was recommending that we didn't release any? Wasn't that Jack's recommendation?
No, Jack sent another letter,
Someone recommended we didn't release.
a follow-up letter.
It was Jack, and this is Jack's follow-up letter. He's saying that you
Okay.
release it.
Okay.
Jack sent an email July 31st.
I just saw it, thank you.
Did you see that?
It's unclear, though, because he says the agreed-upon amount is, so I was going to...
But that's the second letter. That's the second letter, yeah.
Clarify.
The first letter, you're right, said, don't release anything. Then Al and I met with them, and he said, okay, I get it now. Release, he said release 65, but his letter says release all but 65. But the intent is to
Well,
release
it's
65.
65. Well, thank you for your honesty.
Another question, how many more units are there to be constructed?
There are approved for 238, there were 190 built.
We have 3
So
foundations.
38, 48,
So 48 more units to be built, and you're paving the
Well,
road?
we have 12 that we just put 3 foundations in this week.
There's
So
48
it's down
left.
to- we have about 30, I guess, to go. Something like that.
That's a lot of traffic. And Toby's major contention, as I recall, was that it was supposed to be leased-owned and it's actively only been rented. Are there any owners? There are none.
Yeah,
0 owners.
0. The market, and that's why y'all's here tonight, the market has not rebounded. What's it down? It's $140 a foot or something? 150 a foot. You know, when this was first designed, the previous owners were trying to get $500,000 and up. You know, so like a good $220 a foot. But we're getting there. We do have a lease-to-own program, and it's full. You could not rent the unit today. It's full.
Good, none of them are supposed to be rental, right?
They're leased.
Leased, yes.
there's no rentals there.
No, they're all leased.
So, and then the trees, have they all been planted as far as, I mean, was there a tree planting plan? As I also was not here.
Previous plan, which is totally different.
Okay,
So we didn't have a landscaping plan done.
really?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to what was approved before, but we changed the whole building structure and the building layout.
And you didn't submit a tree plan, okay.
No,
And
I
are,
think we
I-
did.
I-
I don't remember that.
and are the sidewalks actually all finished and in place?
Most of them are.
Most of
Most of
them?
them are,
There is
yeah.
holdback.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is holdback in Jesse's
Yeah.
numbers. Some of Jesse's numbers have holdouts for the finished
Yeah.
sidewalks.
One
That's right.
was the trees, he was holding back 3,500 for the trees.
So, I mean, what is in bond right now?
The whole thing.
The whole
is,
thing.
Everything is,
Nearly a million.
everything on this list.
Is that nearly $1 million in bond right now, currently?
No, there's 200.
200,000?
Yeah, so
202,703.
I
202.
think these top.
Minus
two are
65 is what he's getting back, so there'll still be a balance of
130 or something.
130.
This is the remainder,
Okay,
and then this is what he's saying, hold back for those items.
okay.
We're holding 130 back still, and Jesse was recommending 72,
Yeah, 137.
so, and we still have 130-something if we tonight approve the 65 back to pave the road.
And we want that, again, so we can pave the road and turn it over to the town.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And you know Jack's going to want to go check out that paving job before he
He'll be there
says turn it
tomorrow,
over.
I know that. I know that, which is good.
Exactly. Okay. So do I have a motion to give back $65,000 from the bond that's being held for Emerald Place out of the 202,706?
Motion to release the 65,000 of the bond as recommended by Jack Rodigans.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion from the board?
I think that the project this size with 48 units left, there's 0 owned. Most of the trees are planted and most of the sidewalks are finished. I don't think that we should give back much more. Just my opinion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
So you're saying we shouldn't give back much more than the 65, or you think that we
I don't
shouldn't
think
give
we
back
should, I
anything?
don't think we should release any of it, honestly. I mean, the road, the sidewalks, the trees, they've got 48 more buildings to come in with heavy
No,
equipment.
excuse me. 38 units,
Okay.
you know, so,
Oh, units, not buildings.
Units, not buildings.
So how many buildings is that?
geez. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
We have 5 24-unit buildings, and then 10 duplex townhouses, and the balance of fourplexes. I'm not that good in math, but it's, you know, 9 fourplexes. Okay, yeah.
So how many more foundations do you have to put in?
9 more,
9
after
more.
the 3 that we're putting in this week. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Not for me, thank you.
I have no questions.
Okay, so all in favor? Matthew?
No.
What do you, Matthew, have to say? So,
Nay.
thank you.
That the proper response?
no or nay?
Nay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So we'll get
Okay.
that.
Thank you. What is the procedure on that?
I believe Marjorie would put a request into the accounting, and then they would get that to you.
She wasn't quite sure when I talked to her,
Oh, really?
because it's a letter from the bank saying that we put the money in the account.
All right, I'll talk with Marjorie tomorrow.
Okay, great.
And we'll work it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and
perfect.
she'll probably call the town accountant
Yeah,
and figure that out.
Okay,
Because the
and-
bond's there.
yeah, okay. And so, do I have permission to call for a meeting with Whitman and Bingham and Ross Associates?
Yeah, I'll
Before
ask,
next.
I'll ask Marjorie
Great.
to email all of you
Okay.
and request that and schedule them. You can use our conference room right in
Okay.
front there.
Perfect. And we're back on here for
The 25th.
25th.
Yep, and we'll
Thank you very
discuss the
much.
balance, that
Okay.
one, the 130, whatever.
Thank you.
All
you.
right, thank you, nice seeing you. Have a good evening. Okay. That's done. 7:15, Whitewoods, waiver request for prescribed setback, packet scan to board members. Hi, how are you?
For the record, my name is Bill Hannigan with Hannigan Engineering. We sent out a letter via email. Did the board get copies of that, or?
I believe we did.
I have extra copies here if needed.
I have it in my packet. Does anybody need a copy of the letter? Oh,
I read it. I could use one.
does anybody else need one?
Good,
You
thanks.
guys are good? Okay. All right,
Okay.
everybody's going.
The project is White's Woods Phase 3, which is the remaining buildings on the top of the hill behind the previous farmhouse off of White Street. Access is off of Mayfield Road, if you've been up there. And what's happened is the last time we were in front of the board, we had a modification to take the quad units and convert them to duplexes. We shifted some of the units around, moved things around, et cetera. The building design for the 4 buildings has a jog in the building footprint between the 2 units. So you'd have 1 unit, then a 4-foot jog would be the other unit. 3 of the buildings on the plans were shown with the jog going one way, with the 4th one going the opposite direction to meet the setback requirement. And what happened when the builder built it, he built the 3 units, the same, 3 buildings, first 3 buildings the same, then used the same footprint for the 4th building. And by the time we went out there to measure everything up, the building was framed and built, basically. So we went through the waivers that were originally granted by the board on this project. And what we have done in the letter, we attach a plot plan showing where the issue is, and it's relative to building number 6 as shown on this plan. The building was constructed 39.2 feet from the property line, which now that is the foundation. Since then, we've gone out and located the actual corner boards, and it's now about 39 feet, maybe a little less, to the building from the property line in that location. The setback requirements, there are 2 that have been discussed and waived in the past in this project. This is under the PRA, Planned Residential Area. And one of them was the waiver from center line of the right-of-way, which would be 65 feet. It was waived from 100 down to 65. And so we're asking for that particular building, just Building 6, to have that minor modification down to 63 feet for that particular building, in that building only. Additionally, it's, as stated, it's 39.2 feet with the foundation from the property line. And the previous waivers that were granted were relative to reducing the property line setback to 30 feet, but it restricted that to be only the westerly property line, which if you look at the sketch again, those are buildings numbers 1, 2, and 3, okay? What we're asking the board to consider is a waiver to allow a setback in the property line on that particular building of 38 feet from that, for that one building. Now, there's, probably could go to 39, but it's really tight if I say 39 and then someone else measures it. I want to make sure that there's enough room in there, so we're asking for 38, but we're asking that the board approve this as a minor modification. We did speak to the building inspector about this, and he pointed us in this direction. And we're hoping that the board can, and I have another plan actually that does show the overlay of the building footprint with the building as proposed, if you'd like to see that as well. I can just bring that up, if that would help. Want to see that? Or?
Sure, yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
please. I'm just,
See near the mic, so that you see the buildings were all jogged, and you can see this building was jogged in one direction, and when the builder built it, he jogged it in the opposite direction, causing the offset. That little tiny corner is what we're here for. Okay.
So the red is the...
The red is the as-built, correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. This building here, he moved forward a little bit. This one, he moved forward a little bit, which wasn't a problem, because he still meets all the setbacks. This one, he actually moved back a little bit and reversed this one as well. So, that's really that's what we're here for, is that little...
yeah, no, I saw it. Okay. And now, did you all receive Mike's letter? Okay. All right. Anything else you want to share, Bill?
I haven't actually seen Mike's letter, so if I could see that as well, that'd be...
Here, I got an actual hard copy.
Okay. That's pretty consistent with our conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So he's saying, recommend it. He sees what happened. So, any questions from the board?
Of course, I have a question. Now, you say this is already built?
Yes.
Okay, so what would be the circumstance if you were denied this waiver?
We'd have to go to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay, and ask for the same thing?
Right.
Okay. Now, I noticed that the sun patio that's very close to the edge there, it didn't have a red line. Does that mean it wasn't built?
I'd have to take a look at that.
Well, that's minor. I guess my concern is that has the fire chief seen it and approved it for accessibility?
This wouldn't have any effect on any of the previous approvals relative to access to the buildings at all.
I mean, they typically like to be able to get around a
10 inches isn't going to make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other?
No questions. I have no problem with this.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Yes, Chantel has a comment.
This is a special permit, and so, as your advisor in regards to these sort of things, I don't believe that this would be a minor modification. You would have to hold a hearing.
I disagree with that entirely.
I would recommend getting town council's opinion before you approve this. That is my opinion.
The scope of the project is what the PRA is about. The PRA is about the type of housing, the amount of housing, the density, and the layout of the housing. So once the PRA is approved, making a minor modification within the PRA is up to the board. So I disagree with that assertion entirely.
I can disagree. I've read in Mark Bobrowski's book, and it just doesn't seem to me like it would be a minor modification.
If we were taking the buildings and moving them around like we did in the last change, okay, where we went from quads to duplexes, that's not a minor modification. We're not changing the layout or the intent of the original approved project at all.
Okay.
All that's happened is one building got built inverted. Instead of the jog being this way, it got built this way.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not a major change within, and I don't think that Mark would disagree with us on that.
Okay. It can't hurt to get an opinion.
Well, I just, is 10 inches, as Mike says, that is off, and to me, that's not a lot, and the alternative to having him remove the building and move it back seems a little bit ridiculous for 10 inches.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want you to get in trouble for not following proper procedure. That's my only concern.
Well, thank you for that.
I guess it still seems minor in my mind.
I understand. I do. I just want to make sure you do it. And it may be the case that Mr. Hannigan is right. I just wouldn't want to see you, go down that road and.
Can we do an approval contingent upon legal approval?
Yeah, I think that would be something.
And that way, the board can approve it tonight, and then we can submit it to legal counsel and say, if this is okay and we're not stepping outside of our jurisdiction, then the ruling stands. Otherwise, it'll come back and we'll revisit it.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Does that work?
Well, we have closings coming up is the issue.
Well, we could try to expedite with counsel, but our board goes under a lot of scrutiny for not following procedure, so I want to make sure that we're not on TV being accused of not following procedures.
I understand that, absolutely.
I've been taking hits for that, so I want to make sure that does not happen.
How long does it typically take to get a legal opinion on something this simple?
I think that we could probably try to reach out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So,
And we'll vote.
we're not looking to defer it for a long
Right.
period of time.
My concern, quite frankly, is that if town council decides that this is going to require a public hearing, we're now out a month, plus an appeal period of that decision on a modification of a public hearing of that, which will push us way past the closing and could bankrupt the project, quite frankly.
But your assertion
I-
is also that won't happen, because you don't believe this is a major issue. And so
I-
as long as your assertion on that is accurate, town council will agree with you, and this will just go through tomorrow or the day
I've
after.
seen funnier things happen, but my assertion's still my assertion.
It doesn't matter, I mean, well, what we
Yeah.
have to do is follow procedure and appropriately approve.
And I
it
appreciate
get
that
town
the board's
council.
position, it's a caught in the middle type of thing, so I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, so we'll make our ruling, and I think it's a minor thing, and town council will probably acknowledge that, but that's really their jurisdiction. No one here is gonna make a legal opinion on what they are concerned about or not concerned
Understood.
about.
I appreciate it, thank you.
And Nathan, did you have?
Yeah, I think Ken's suggestion it makes sense, and hopefully that'll, if for some reason that doesn't work out, we'll, do whatever we can to accommodate, the process, expedite it as quickly as we can, and the applicant can review their options, whether it's with us and whatever schedule we can do, or with the ZBA, but most likely, like Ken said, it's probably going to go through fine tomorrow.
I can go along with Ken's plan, but I still would assert that we have the ability to determine what's a minor change and not, and I think it's a minor change, but.
Okay, so I agree as well, that it sounds like a minor change, 10 inches, but I do want to, if Chantel is saying to get this checked, I want to respect that as well.
And I respect Chantel's, her
Exactly.
experience in this
Yes.
is known. I've not worked directly with her, but we've been in the same
Yeah.
business for many years. I've seen her up in other towns as well. My concern is also, and this is sometimes what happens, is the way that it's worded to town council. They're going to come, if you ask them a certain question, they're going to answer that question. So the question has to be posed well to them. And I would forward them the letter that we wrote, and Mike's letter as well, and maybe that would be the way to do it, and just give them a little bit of a judgment on that.
We will definitely do that.
I'm just concerned,
Yeah,
that's all.
I don't disagree with you 100%. So I would be looking for, if there's no more discussion, a motion to support the waiver of the 10 inches upon town council's agreement.
If I may, could we just, I had asked for it to be down to 38 feet so that we're safe with the building, so that
Okay.
if the corner board's a little bit bigger than what we've already measured, then we're not coming back for another one in 6 weeks.
And is there two waivers, one for the center line and
One for the 38 and one for the 33?
or 63 or something?
Right, 63. One for the center line for 63 feet to the center line for building 6, and one for 38 feet to the property line from Building 6.
I make a motion that we approve these waivers contingent on legal counsel determining that we have the authority to do that in this manner, in this circumstance.
I have a question. Is contingent the same
Can we,
thing?
can we get a second? And then we can go into questions?
Second.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Is contingent the same thing as conditional?
Yeah, it's similar.
Similar? Okay.
Yeah.
It means it's not binding unless legal says we have the right to make that
Okay,
decision.
good.
Can we add the suggestion that we believe that it's a minor change?
Yes.
We're just looking for legal to reaffirm that.
Confirm.
Second. Oh, it's already been seconded.
Yeah. Second the amendment.
Amendment, okay?
Aye.
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 And I. Okay.
Thank you very much for your understanding.
No,
Appreciate
and we
it.
will, I will check in with Marjorie myself tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay?
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure, and I appreciate your time.
Okay. Minutes approved. We have minutes from, we have minutes from July 22nd, 2014 that need to be signed. And these were emailed to the board members. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of July 22nd, 2014?
No comments?
And here's they are. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes of July 22nd.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I've noticed that practically every time that I was recorded in the minutes the last year, that I opined, and all these insinuations about myself and my character were notes and statements. I just thought that was kind of curious.
I don't understand what that question was. I apologize.
That's okay. Also,
Now, there's some opining here about you as well.
there is some, yeah, there's quite a bit. Thank you. But I do want to comment on the comment that was recorded as Allison was quick to point out problems, but did not offer any solutions to the problems. I think that's a little drastic. I think I offered at least one solution over the course of the year. So
I think the question is this accurately capture or quote what was said at the meeting?
Okay. Well, I would like to question that there was any solutions spoken.
No, I think the point that he's making is that what is on the table right now is the approval of the minutes accurately reflecting what was said, not whether or not what was said was accurate or not.
Okay.
So what we're determining is, do the minutes reflect what actually transpired? As opposed to, do we agree with what was said during the course? I think that would be a longer debate.
Sure.
So I would, based on that, I'd move that we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, which we already did. So all in favor of those minutes?
Aye.
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 Hey,
Do we have one more?
So
Handed you what I had there. so-
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry.
to approve the minutes of July 28th, 2014.
I just gotta sign those.
Do we have a second on Nathan's motion to approve the 28th, July 28th?
Motion to approve the significantly less contentious minutes of July 20. Has to be.
Did someone second? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes of July 28th as they were written?
just a point of procedure, I presume I can abstain?
Yes.
What is this?
Okay. With that being done, the minutes are done.
We didn't actually roll call on that, did we?
You didn't vote yet.
I'm sorry?
You didn't vote yet.
Roll call.
You didn't
Oh,
vote.
all in favor?
Procedure, aye?
Abstain?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. Thank you.
Do I just not know if I abstain? Ignore that line.
All
will.
right.
I'll actually
Committee
use it.
reports, MRPC.
There you go.
We did have a meeting last Wednesday. A lot of it was end issues going over the budget. MRPC is moving, they're trying to move over to the old Ford building, the Mart building, across the street, right across the street from them, on the corner of Water and I believe it's Main. So we did a lot of discussion on that. And so you all know, there's probably 20 packets that they give out, and I take copies of them, and I do give them to Marjorie, so I think she keeps them on file, so if there's ever anything you want to look at, the agenda's there, the minutes are there, and then all the different state offerings and grants that we can get. I'm trying to think what else we really talked about. I gave Marjorie my packet last week, so I don't have it with me. But that was really it that stood out. Okay. Next, we have School Committee, Nathan.
I don't believe, I missed a meeting because it was scheduled at a time when I was taking a trip a couple of weeks ago. I don't believe there's been a meeting since. That said, there is an upcoming abutters meeting with the school committee. I think that was in the Ledger this week. I think it's sometime in the first week of September, but I'd have to check there. I'll look that up while the other people are doing their notifications. And they've started the site work, and you can see the work going on if you drive by.
On both sides, even, because I did go, that's what I mean, I specifically said, okay, I want to go look at Glow, and I drove around the school, and I went around Oak, and I got out of the car at Oak and looked at what they were doing there, and totally forgot Glow. But they're doing it on both sides, Mass Ave and on Oak. Who is do we know, is Powell doing did they get the bid?
Powell did get a significant bid for, I believe, the site work.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful that it's in-house, in town. I saw their equipment there and I was thrilled. That's fantastic. Oh, I'm very excited about that. Okay.
I'm sorry, I found my notes here. Actually, I found the mail from Loxie. So, the big thing is that there's going to be the abutters meeting, and next Project Abutters scheduled meeting is going to be September 4th from 6 to 7 p.m. in TC Pasio's elementary school cafeteria. And the meeting is going to concentrate on landscaping of the entire project. The district has requested the presence of the landscape architect, and the community has expressed a desire to review plans in place for the site landscaping, both in scope, features, quantity, and site placement. And I think there is another one scheduled for November 6th, that's just a little ways down the road, also from 6 to 7. And I believe also at TC Pasio's there. And that's going to talk about Shawmut, the construction management company, is going to field any project scope items generated to date. There'll be a winter month schedule discussed, and they'll discuss winter condition concerns, if any, on school and Oak Ave.
And that was September 4th, at what time?
September 4th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And in terms of what they're doing, they started August 4th. What they're doing this week is they installed the project perimeter site fence. They're regrading the project site for site access road installation. They're monitoring and taking appropriate measures for dust control, removing all topsoil for off-site storage and later reuse, commencing site drainage installations, and commencing site work on the new athletic field.
Okay.
I have a question on that, Nathan. Is the review engineer going to be available to answer questions on those 100 review comments that he had on the school project at the abutters meeting?
Haven't seen anything to indicate that the peer review engineer from the planning board is going to be at that meeting, no. It sounds like the meeting's going to be pretty much focused on abutter concerns relating to site work and landscaping.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? All right, next we have Damon with the Building Reuse Committee.
Have not met.
Okay, Ken, MJTC.
Yeah, so I went to the last MJTC meeting. It was a few weeks ago now, but it was kind of a restarting meeting because it's a changing of regards and so forth. So they did election of officers and things like that. And it was the same officers that went in. They also distributed the final Wachusett Corridor Smart Growth Plan, talked a little bit about that. One of the interesting things on that was they had a side project that's going on about analysis of stormwater on federally funded roads. And they did send an overlay of that. Some of that study is going to be done in Lunenburg, so we'll get the results of that when they do that study, which will be good for us. The biggest portion of the meeting was the bylaw updates and adoption, because it's spawned a tremendous amount of disagreement and discussion in the group.
Bless you.
God bless you. And they're going to re-amend those bylaws. They did not get voted in, so they're going to re-amend them and come back at the next meeting. And the next meeting is actually postponed until September. They decided to take the month of August off. So my next meeting there will be in September.
Okay, great, thank you. Capital Planning, we did not meet. I'm going to move over Open Space Recreation Committee over to here. We had asked Matthew to take that on, and he couldn't. So Ken, you weren't here. I didn't know if that was something you would be able to take on. I wanted to give you the opportunity.
I think I have enough on.
You're full up?
These days.
Okay, so, and nobody else?
Nobody else wanted?
No, we had thought Matthew would go on that, but he doesn't have time for that. So I guess I'll have to be on 4. So we'll sign me up for open space. Marjorie will let them know. All right, so that's done.
The question
And if
on-
anybody wants to jump onto open space at any time and your calendar frees up, I'm not attached to letting it go. Yes.
I'll touch bases with you afterwards and find out what the details of that are.
Thank you.
Following the committee report on capital planning committee, it's got dormant in parents, what, and then it's got your name, what is?
I'm on the capital planning, and it's dormant over the summer. They usually start
Oh, they
doing-
don't meet?
Yes.
They're not meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So hopefully they'll start those meetings in September. Okay. New business status reports, Tri-Town Landing. Did you all get your, on that? The work has been done to the Fitchburg water line that will help with the water flow for the rest of the development. They're going with the 4th building. State had some money, called them, so they're gonna start the 4th building. Utilities will run all the way to the end of the new constructed parking lot. Access road on the plan is going to be finished with the turnaround at the end. Additionally, a temporary turnaround will be built at the end of the new parking lot with grindings. It was asked that the turnaround be maintained and plowed by the fire department in case they need to get back there. No, new drainage will be installed for the building, which includes an infiltration area identified within the plan. Test pits and perk tests were done previously. The developer plans on filing for building permits within the next 60 days. The building inspector advised them that they have to go with the new stretch code, and the parking ratio still matches the plan. There's going to be, within this building, the only change is instead of 33 units, which the buildings usually do, there will only be 32. The last unit's going to be converted into an exercise room. So there's going to be 32 more units built at $3,000 a unit once their building permits are done to go back into that fund. So that's fantastic. Dumpsters will be arranged as they are with the other buildings. Test borings for the new building are being done. And the peer review indicated, as this is an ongoing project, it should be a simple review because it's the same as the other 3 buildings. So that was that with Tri-Town Landing. So I was excited to see that there was some money left over and.
Yeah.
Well, it's money in. Okay, open space, we do Green Communities Task Force. Okay, oh geez, great. another committee looking for another person. Marion was on this, so what I'm thinking, we'll save this for the new land director. I think they're really going to want to be on that. I feel it.
You can feel it.
I can feel that they really want to be a part of the Green Community Task Force. So we're going to save that for them. All right, 145 Page Street, right of first refusal. Now, did you all get that in your packet? Yep. All right. Does anybody have anything to say on that? Because I think the last we talked is we kind of would support whatever the open space and conservation recommended.
I guess I'm just questioning why this came back to us, because I thought we already.
Right, so.
We already made a ruling on it.
They have to revise it, I guess.
Because they split the land up into the two
Yes.
different things.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have to rule on it again.
Yeah, so they had to redo the whole thing.
Right.
So it's just coming back in front of us with the redo.
Right. That was the point that I made, was that
Yeah.
we can't do a right of first refusal on this because it's the whole shebang, so they broke it up. into two
Exactly.
lots. All right, great.
Yep. And so, and Carrie.
And you thought nobody listened to you, yeah?
No, that's only at home. The kids. I don't have to worry because I'm sure they're not watching.
He did a great job, by the way. We'll touch base on that after. John, he did a great job at the Lake Shirley Barbecue.
Oh, okay.
So, did anybody have anything new they wanted to bring out, or are we all still feeling the same, that we support conservation and open space in their recommendation?
I
didn't know you-
certainly would do that, yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I want to include everybody where you weren't here the last time. So we,
Oh, yeah, so I would just say a couple things. One is, yeah, it's nice that they broke it down like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I am just curious if there has been any feedback from Concom or...
not that I've seen.
Yes,
Open space.
conservation, I went to the conservation meeting.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see
They
anything in
voted on
here.
it, and they do not have an interest on it for the purchase price, but they did mention that it's a good tax benefit to donate it if the new owner chooses to do so. But at the revised plan, they didn't have a justification for the acquisition of it.
And open space, did they say anything about,
I didn't go to an open space committee.
well, I didn't know if conservation had said,
I was
because
at
I know
conservation.
Sharon Jordan's involved
That was
in.
the ruling there, so.
Okay, great, thank you. All right,
So a motion to reaffirm our previous position now with the updated parcel information. So, yeah, motion to support whatever decision conservation and open space make or already made.
Right.
we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, perfect. You guys are doing great this evening. All right, middle school, high school, no report. Highfield Village, no report. Force Corp, no report. That's looking better and better. Yeah, they're doing a great job over there.
Have they actually moved the fence back and
They
reduced the
did.
grade?
Yeah.
Did they move it back 10 feet?
I don't know how far, it
Yeah.
looks,
Moved
it
back
looks
quite a
like they
bit.
moved it
There was
back pretty
confirmation on
far.
that?
I don't know who went and surveyed it, but I drive by there every day and it's moved
As do
back
I.
significantly.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And they've got the grass planted, they ripped up all the pavement in the front, which was part of our design bylaw for the vegetation. So I think they're really doing a great job there.
Agreed.
Definitive subdivision, 50 Elmwood Road. Weekly update, 50 Elmwood stumps, they're still removing stumps, strip loom and stockpile and rubbish removal. That was as of 8/5/14. They're faxed over worksheet. Whitewoods, Mass Ave, we did. Emerald Place, we did. Chase Road update. Eric, I don't know where that one is, I read it. I knew I had it, oh, here it is, right here. Is this it? No. Here it is. Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, the 2 solar fields are up and running. Both sites are now online. I notified Mr. Savageau that I would like to close building permits and am in the process of closing the projects out. I want to make sure all parties are notified, and I would like to get Jesse out to Chase Road to walk site as soon as his schedule allows. So we reached out to Jesse. Jesse responded that he's going to try to do something early this week. So Eric said thank you. So I just want to let you know that that's going to happen, but both solars seem to be on the grid. So hopefully we'll start to You laughing at me?
Yeah, no, it's funny. On the grid, it's good.
Did you get my joke?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty funny. Okay, so those are up and going, so, and hopefully next meeting, Jesse will have closed that out. And I'm thinking if, I know Celeste McCain had been very involved with the landscaping and all of that, so I'd like to see if we can have Marjorie send her an email, just making sure she's, okay with everything that happened before we close it out as well, because I know she had some issues with plantings and the underground wire, so just if she had any other concerns before we close the project out, that would be great, because she was very involved for a long period of time. Whitetail Crossing, no report. Action file, we did that. The 1259 Mass Ave. Whalum Road, Lunenburg Village, nothing to report. 40 Leominster Shirley Road, no report. Master Plan Economic Development Set Joint Meeting.
I think there was a conversation of wanting to get certain people together to discuss the economic development element that got distributed.
Yes, that was the only one that gave feedback was the sewer commission.
Yep.
So we now want to invite all the department, was it the department chairs or anybody from any boards?
Yeah, ask each one to send a representative.
Representative, okay. So if we could kind of schedule that.
Yeah, I think you probably want John to be there.
Okay, for that, yeah, John
Yeah,
Young.
so considering our schedules right now, September looks better for us to do this sort of joint meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree, only because we've got meetings every
Monday.
this month.
Yes.
With the charrette, the review bylaw, public input, so I'm okay with
Okay.
maybe the first week in September, second week in September
Okay.
would be fine.
All right.
Does that work for everybody? I don't want to speak for the whole board, I apologize. Okay, great. All right, so that's done. Then we have Village District Bylaw Action Plan, our charrette, August 14th. And did you all get copies of the questions?
Hope we did.
And I'm not being fresh. Matthew, do you know what a charrette is?
Yes,
Okay,
round three.
I did not.
Round 3, is that the most recent questions?
Draft 3.
Draft 3,
three?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That's the one I have
I have
anyway.
extra copies if you guys.
Does anybody need a hard copy?
Yeah.
Take one down, pass it around.
So if you guys hopefully finalize this tonight, I'll be buying the pads and I'll be writing the questions. on the
Fantastic.
pads.
So question 1, questions for our charrette. First, what are the historical features of the Lunenburg Center that you think are worth preserving? How should the town how should the town pursue preservation efforts, i.e. protection, conveyance, demolition delay, establishing an historic district, or adopting design guidelines? Should footprint increase be allowed on historical buildings? So what's our feedback on question 1?
Question mark should be in there.
I'm sorry?
Just, how did the questions get created?
MRPC had a basis and we've added feedback.
Okay.
And the way the charrette's going to work is each of these questions will be on an easel, and each one of us will have this question and work with a group of people within the charrette, and just have someone be jotting down ideas, and then at the end, they present to the whole group their ideas.
Can we make minor changes?
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Can we change demolition to delay to demolition restriction?
Sure.
Just because it's a little bit, demolition delay implies we're gonna demolish it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's kind of counter to
Yeah, sure, that's
people
no
thinking about
problem.
preservation.
Is that a thing, though, demolition restriction? Because I'm not sure that actually exists.
I haven't heard it termed that way, but if you can call it that here, I think, if you call it a restriction,
I just don't know if it's legal to do that to a property.
if you can restrict demolition.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'd have to look into it. So, let me look into that one.
Any
Because
other-
there's all sorts of demolition, like demolition by neglect, where the thing just falls in until the fire inspector or building inspector comes down and condemns it, because that doesn't help anyone either, by saying, no, you can't knock it down, but that doesn't say that they have to fix it up either. And you can't, it's hard to mandate that someone spend money to repair the property. So there's a whole bunch of issues with that whole topic that someday we need to get cleared up with town council or whoever may know more about demolition restrictions.
Okay. So do you just want to keep demolition delay for now, or for this, just wording for the question?
Just wordings for the questions. I was just thinking of it in terms of the messaging that it gives across.
Okay.
We're talking about preservation,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the preservation question, first preservation question, we're talking about demolition, and just potentially delaying it a little bit.
Well, we do have a demolition delay bylaw now.
Right.
That is pretty much the only protection that we have.
Okay. Should I just take it out completely since we have it already?
I don't know, it was just my feedback. You
Okay.
guys can,
Your feedback matters.
yeah, it was just feedback.
Yeah, it was something that was
It just
discussed at
struck
last
me as kind
meeting,
of odd
so.
on the question, that's all.
Yeah, I understand.
So what do we feel? Because it's Thursday,
You can
so.
leave it.
I recommend leaving it because it is certainly part of the discussion to speak about what we already have.
Now, out of the 5, is any of the questions, any of the changes to question 1? Does anybody here feel passionate about being the team lead on question 1? Because we're going to assign, each of you are going to get one of these.
Yeah.
So,
Before I volunteer for anything, I have to
read them
say
all?
I might not be here on Thursday because I have to go visit the Amesbury Planning Board. There's a 50-50 chance that I might not be here. Work calls. I'm upset about it too.
Okay.
I get paid for that position.
Yes, I understand. I understand. All right, well, so if you're here, are you saying you want question 1? If you're here, is there,
Either one or the reuse question, because I'm both on this.
you're on the reuse committee?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through them all, and then we could see, we'll line them up. All right, so everybody else set with question 1?
I would recommend that we put a couple of spaces between the question mark and the should in the last sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that typo.
She already did it.
Yeah.
She's got an arrow on her paper.
Excellent.
Okay, number 2. Are there any examples in your experience of other towns downtown or center that the engendered positive experience? And if so, would those experiences be an appropriate fit for Lunenburg Center? Please provide positive and negative impressions of any town centers you have encountered.
You can drop the word "the" after that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I'm good with that question.
Okay. Question 3.
Are we signing up for these questions now, or?
Well, I-
we'll go through
Might as
them all?
well.
If you're passionate about that one, it's yours.
Well, I wouldn't mind doing that one.
All right, so number 2 is Ken. Number 3, the Ritter Building, TC Passio Building, Brooks House, Old Primary School, and play recreation spaces are public municipal assets. What is the future of each facility? What potential uses, especially for those sites that are currently underutilized, should be incorporated into the village district bylaw to accommodate for these sites?
Yeah, that's probably the one I would want to sign up for.
Okay.
Have we ever talked about doing anything with the play recreation spaces? Because it's never come up in the reuse committee topics. I just don't know if,
Not necessarily, because you've been primarily dealing with buildings.
Yeah. You want to take that one out?
'cause I don't think we're talking about developing the playground, are we?
You're not, but I didn't know within your village district bylaw if you would, there's a possibility for if new development occurs that you would say, oh, can you have certain green space or recreational facilities, that sort of thing. So there is that component if you want to have it. If not, then I can take it out.
It's just that this is kind of about reuse of a building or a site, and I don't think we're talking about reusing that site.
Yeah, because I think right here on number 5, you could talk more about green spaces.
Yeah, if you want to
Maybe
add.
we could
Yeah,
put.
so
that
just
sort
take it out of this one.
Okay.
And Damon, an idea just hit me like a brick. If you're comfortable with, if you cannot make it Thursday, would you be okay with me calling Jamie and ask Jamie if he could do, where he's, the
Yeah.
chair of reuse?
I'm sure he or anyone else from that board could do a
board?
great job, yeah.
So I could reach out to him, or if you want to reach out to him, if you
Okay.
can't make it, that he would take question 3 and run that easel?
Yeah, I
Because he'd be
can-
very well-versed.
Yeah, I can check with Jamie.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, number 4, what vehicle, bicycle, and pedestrian circulation improvements or changes should be made in the Lunenburg Center, if any, i.e. roads, sign, sidewalks, crosswalks, why, and please state the benefits of each. Oh, I added please. See, I'm a
You're
please,
so
thank
nice,
you.
maybe I should say please as well.
So, anything on question 4?
Just a comma between vehicle and bicycle.
I'm sorry?
Just a comma between vehicle and bicycle.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's fun when other people read it because you notice everything you missed.
Okay, everybody else set with that one?
Yep.
And number 5, last but not least, what are the environmental, green space, and aesthetic features of the Lunenburg Center? Why are they important, and should they be preserved? Should any utility or infrastructure improvements, telephone poles, wires, drainage, parking, etc., be made? Why? State the benefit of each. Anything on that one?
We say, why are they important and should they be preserved? Maybe you talk about expanded upon, as in you talk about how green space would be added in a new developed site. Because I don't think anyone's gonna say that it shouldn't be preserved. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah, maybe,
I could add a sentence in there saying environmental green space for new development.
Just take out the,
yeah. I'd be more interested in green space for new development than,
Okay.
personally, I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
and also like, I mean, I think it'd be valued to get the infrastructure improvement feedback too.
All right, so what one would you like?
where are they important and should they be added to or preserved or added to?
How would you like to see them incorporated in future development? How would you like to see new green spaces incorporated in future development?
Where they should be preserved and.
Maybe they're two separate, maybe we're trying to make one question out of it.
Yeah, so
Let's
Damien's,
just say, why are they important, question mark, end it at that, so you get the reasoning behind it. And then something about how, how should they be incorporated into new developments or what kind of retrofitting should be done. So instead of trying to make one question out
Yeah.
of two.
That sounds
Sounds
good
good.
to me. Does that sound good to you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have question, we'll go to Matthew first. 1, 2,
I took 2.
I'm sorry, 1,
3 to take.
yeah, 1, 4, or 5. Matthew, which would you like?
I'm not real picky. If anybody's got a particular desire to have one or another,
No, we're at you.
flexible.
Which one you want?
I'll take 5.
Matthew's taking 5.
Thank you.
Which one would you like?
unless you have a strong preference, I'll take number 1.
Okay, and Joanna's got number 4. All right, so Nathan has number 1, Ken's got number 2, Damien or Jamie number 3, Joanna number 4, Matthew number 5. Now, will you have bulleted questions to keep our groups targeted?
Yeah, I think the way we discussed it last time is that I would break each, like, number 1 down. I'd put, like, the first part of the question, the next page, the second part of the question. And if you happen to overflow, just make a note of it and go to a blank page of what number it is.
And so, everybody, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So everybody, the way it's gonna work is and please jump in if I'm wrong, at 6 o'clock, we're doing a tour. We're gonna do a walk around to the buildings, so people can see the TC Patio, and then we're coming back here at 7, and we'll start the meeting here at 7. I'm going to do an introduction, and then we'll break out into our focus groups. Yeah, you got to write up the introduction. And then we'll go into our focus groups. You'll each have your own easels, and you can have someone in the group, okay, you want a board. I think we've all run meetings. So, and then they'll encompass their easels, and we all come back. Did we figure out that time? Remember, we were confused of 3 hours, 30 minutes. You were going to check with John on the agenda you had shown us?
Yeah, I think,
Was it 30 minutes within the group, and then we come back and share? Because there was a coffee and,
yeah, I think because then there's a break in between.
Right, there was a coffee and
So you
pastry.
do the breakout groups, you do the coffee break, and, oh yeah, we're checking on who's gonna get food for the,
right, I was going to...
you're gonna check and see
If someone would donate it, yeah.
Okay, and then, we'd come back and go over the results.
Who's doing the instructions to tell the people how they move from group to group and all that stuff?
I think everyone's staying in one group, and then we're gonna go over all the results as a whole afterwards.
Each person in your group, you're going to pick someone to present your easel. Matthew, yeah, it can be you or someone within your group. Will then present to everybody.
I'm sorry, I missed the last
Yeah,
meeting.
no, that's
You
fine.
guys discussed all this stuff. But why are we restricting people to a single group? What if they have valuable input to 3 groups? I would think
Well,
that we would
they
want
can
to be
also
able to
supply
know.
that input later on. It's just to help facilitate the limited amount of time we have. So if we do breakout groups and we can at least get that input from a small group of people, and then we all come back to the table and we discuss it at large with everybody, then everyone can have a comment on what the breakout group came up with. So everyone will have a chance to comment and talk about it. It's just the smaller groups helps, bullet those major issues.
So when your group presents,
No, I understand that. I understand the mechanics. I'm just trying to get the most value out of the time. And when I run open
It's a short
space
time.
meetings, there's a tremendous amount of value of allowing people to move from group to group freely and provide their 5 minutes of input and then go to the next group. And
I got
you
you.
gather a lot more collaboration that way. But we can run it however
Okay.
you guys want to run it.
All right,
It's just what my experience has been.
okay, all right, thank you.
and we didn't, this was MRPC's recommendation of how they've run the charrettes.
Yeah, that's how we've done it, so, but I like your idea. I think it sounds good.
Do you want to try it out here in Lunenburg?
I've never run a group with citizens, I've only run them with engineers, and so they're very quick to give their input and then move on, so
Yeah,
maybe it's a little bit different when it's a general public, and this will be my first charrette, so.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should stick with what got her here, just to make sure. we get-
That's what I said, we'll
Yeah,
do it
I mean,
however you
I
want.
appreciate the suggestions, really good ideas, but just to,
Because the actual charrette goes from 7 to 9.
Yes.
That was so we
What
have,
happens if
7 or
you happen to
6:30?
Have a group that nobody joins.
you had
Oh,
the
it
hour.
starts at 6.
Well, what I was
mean,
thinking.
the walk starts at 6 and goes for an hour.
oh, it's an hour of
And
walk,
then-
okay.
And then 7 o'clock is when we meet back
2 hours
here.
is gonna go by fast, like,
Yes.
there's 5 groups, each 20 minutes to present, I mean, I don't know, it's like 15, that time is gonna go by so
And what I was
fast.
thinking to break up into groups is we would just count off 1 to 5. So that doesn't happen, that you get 20 in 1 and 2, and no one in 5.
Okay, I actually have a problem with that.
Okay.
Because now you're not even capitalizing on people's passion, right? So, I mean, people, just like we've picked these subjects, people in the audience are gonna have a particular vested interest. You certainly would want them, if they say they have no interest or they don't care which group they get assigned to, then you could do that. But I think you should at least first give people an option to pick what group they'd like to be in. That's, again.
Okay. And how do you do that?
Feedback, just,
I
because if
have
I
to
really cared
pause
about,
on
I
that
don't know,
one.
let me
I
pick
have
one
to
of
sit
these
down
here.
with him and sort this sort of stuff out.
But if I
But
really care about what happens to the buildings in the center of town, but then I get assigned to my group or what other towns I like, I'm gonna be like, whoa, like, I wanna talk to those guys, cause
Yeah.
I have a vested interest in that. So I think we have to give them the opportunity to pick, as
Okay,
opposed to just
well,
assigning them.
yeah.
But, and you will be heard in every group. So just so, I don't want people out there to think, I'm not gonna be, you're gonna be able to voice your thoughts and ideas for every group, because once we read out, the other 10, 20, 30 people are going to be able to piggyback on.
But I think they're gonna be very truncated in that type. I think the valuable input is gonna be people putting the input into the presentation, right? And then there's gonna be a brief presentation, but, we're not gonna have a tremendous amount of time for comment period on that, because we have a bunch of them we gotta get through, right? So that's gonna be, some people will have an opportunity to provide some feedback, but it's not like everybody's gonna do a collaborative session afterwards, so.
And if you want, maybe after the shred is done and people have additional ideas, we can just have them email, you know.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. We should definitely have that
Yeah.
set up as well.
And then that way, if they didn't feel like they got heard, they can follow up with us.
So how are we publishing the results of this?
We'll probably do a small white paper report on it.
And how's that get distributed?
I
Hope
don't
you'll
know
have
yet, I will let you know.
Well, and I'm assuming what we would commit at the beginning is that everybody signs in and leaves their email address. And once we type this all up, we will forward that out. So everybody's gonna get in writing every easel input. And we'll email that to their homes, and then they, again, even for the public, anybody that wants to email out, email back in, even if they don't come to the meeting, by all means has the right to do that.
And you can certainly post it on your
Website. And Nathan and I, both, we took pictures of the Lunenburg Ledger and put them on our Facebook page, inviting people to the charrette. So, that's out there as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Okay,
Are we planning on publishing any results in the ledger?
we can, absolutely. I would follow up with that when it's all typed up. This was the great, how many people came and this is what was said, and
Okay.
try to get people very excited and interested in giving feedback.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Again, sorry for the questions.
No, that's
For
what
missing the
we're
last
here
meeting.
for. Go ahead, Nathan.
So, you see, we're at the Ritter. Is that going to be upstairs and downstairs, or
Oh, when we're meeting here?
no, for the charrette?
We're meeting here for the walk at the Ritter, and then we're coming back to the town hall.
Oh, okay.
For the,
Oh, okay, good.
for
good.
the shred.
Okay, got
Is
it.
the charrette televised?
I don't believe it's going to be
Okay.
televised, because I think I discussed this, I don't know if I discussed it with you last meeting. It would be kind of hard to televise it with breakout groups. You're not gonna be able to hear all the groups, speaking. So,
Nathan might be the one doing it.
You're welcome to.
Yeah, I didn't know, because if the breakouts were only 30 minutes, we could just put like, a charrette, what we're doing.
if you
type
want, I
thing.
mean, you can certainly request it. I mean, I wasn't sure if it would be useful since we're doing the breakout groups, but, part of it would be reconvening afterwards and discussing, what the breakout groups came
Right,
up with.
which would be,
so.
I think, valuable.
Right.
But, all right, we'll think about that. Anything else on the charrette? So now, if, because you and Damon were gonna do the walkabout.
Yeah,
So if Damon's not here, it'll be you and Jamie,
that's fine.
okay? And I'm gonna see if we can have, some donuts and coffees donated for the meeting. What else? You're gonna do the easels and have those all set? And John will be here as well?
Yeah, we'll do sign-in sheets. We're gonna bring water for the site walk.
Oh, nice.
So we'll do at least that. And we'll come in here too, and we'll set up the sign-in sheets. The sign-in sheets for people to come in, the easels. Maybe we could, I don't know, do like, if we could move the chairs around a little, so we could have those 5 separate areas for people to
Sure.
sit and whatnot. So I think our
I can come
our
over too.
plan is to get here for like 5:15 to set up
Okay.
at Town Hall. And then for 6 o'clock, we'll walk over to the Ritter.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
I'll come here at 5:15.
Okay.
And meet you two.
okay, that'd be great. I'm bringing John and another coworker of mine, Bobby Joe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know, I do too.
okay, sounds good. Any other questions on the charrette? Everybody feel good? I think it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I hope the public shows up and gives their input. That's the most critical thing. Okay, so that's all set. And then August 18th, Monday, we're gonna have a meeting to review the bylaw. Right, everybody's still good with that? And then on August 25th, we'll share the public input. Everybody good?
25th, we'll get public input on the bylaw that we review on the 18th.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. Everybody else good? All right, notices and communications, Concon, you got their agenda, ZBA notice scanned. Going in front of the ZBA on Wednesday, the 13th, Kenny Ricca and Joshua Hillman opened up Embers Pizzeria, 84 Lakefront Ave, and they're looking to have some outdoor seating. So that's on the Zoning Board of Appeals agenda. Zoning Board of Appeals. Page Street is on there. Petitioner special permit for dimensional variation to a construction pole on their property. And that was it for those. Any questions on that? Marjorie sent us a packet, and I'd like to get as much as we possibly can on this. This was some, I don't know if you saw this, the CPTC fall workshop schedule.
Okay.
And they're looking for courses you'd like to see, zoning, planning. If you would like to tailor a workshop to suit your particular needs, we are attempting to accommodate you. So they're looking for, they want us to pick 2 courses that we would like to see. So in looking at them, once the topics, location, trainers, and the dates have been established, they'll create a brochure. So I didn't know if we could use MRPC, if we needed to be able to have some of the trainings, but they list the courses that they offer, and they had some nice ones that I think would really help us. So they're looking for our top 3, so I didn't know if any of you've looked at this and had a preference to give. I don't know that we'll get the training, but if we can, it would be fantastic. So, did anybody look at them?
I didn't look through them.
Okay, so we have roles and responsibility of planning and zoning boards, part 1, roles of responsibility of planning and zoning boards, part 2, the next chapter of 40B, targeting training for zoning board members, introduction to the Zoning Act, writing reasonable and defensible decisions, introduction, this is where it kind of starts with us, introduction to the subdivision control law and A&Rs, how to hold a perfect public hearing, reading a subdivision plan, and there's little sentences of what that entails, how to explain topography, roads, lot lines, wetlands, creating a master plan, planning with community support, which I thought is something we're striving to do with our town center, special permits and variances, site plan reviews, vested rights in non-conforming structures and uses, zoning exemptions. So there was a couple that I thought were introduction to the subdivision, I thought was a good one. Reading a subdivision plan, that might be for you 3 kinda, not necessary. Creating a master plan, I thought would be good for us. Planning with community support, special permits and variances, or site plan review would really be the top ones for us. I don't know if you guys have anyone that's more important than the other to you. Anyone?
Did you say the master plan one, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
there was a master plan one.
No, but I mean, was that one of your
Yes,
recommendations?
it was, where we are constantly striving to have a great master plan.
Yeah, I'd like to see us get that one.
All right, so I'll
Are we
put-
guaranteed to get these, or?
No.
Is this just a,
It's just a wish list.
it's a wish list?
Yep. But if we don't sign up, we'll never get on that list.
I'd also like to mention CPTC puts on a spring workshop with almost all of these usually available, and they hold it at Holy Cross in Worcester. It's a really good conference to go to.
Yeah, see, we never got hooked up for these before. So I want to make sure that if we can, because I've gone to 2 of them, and I just think they're so educational, and you meet people, and you get to talk to your abutting towns and what they're doing and what their struggles are. And it really, it's very educational.
Definitely.
All right, so we got number 1, we have master planning. Then we have either site plan review, planning with community support, or special permits.
I'd vote for planning with community support would be helpful, I think.
It'd be helpful if we had that. Right.
Okay, and then for 3, I'm gonna put site plan review. If
Yeah,
that's,
site plan review is a good one.
yeah, if that's okay with everybody. And those are our 3. So we have master planning, planning with community support, and site plan review. So hopefully, we'll get picked for something. All right, thank you so much for your help with that. And like I said, hopefully we'll get picked. Just to recap, the Lunenburg Planning Board schedule for August, we're very busy. We have our charrette, August 14th, starting at 6 PM at the Ritter. We're gonna walk around, coming back to here at 7 PM, and then we'll have a meeting from 7-9 to host the charrette. August 18th, we have a meeting at the Ritter Building. And then August 25th, our scheduled plan meeting is here at Town Hall because we have a public hearing. So that's it for that. Do we have any board comment? Do we?
Sorry, I was.
No, don't be. Do we have any public comment?
I just want to make a comment regarding the discussion of Emerald Place. Several times during that discussion, there were statements made that the roadway is owned by the developer. During the development plan review process, this became an issue, and there was a title search done. The town took the position that the town owned the roadway. The developer took the position that they own the roadway. Town records date back to the 1800s that roadway has been maintained by the town of Lunenburg. And there was an extensive title search done that was cloudy, and the issue was never resolved legally. So while the developer has taken the stance that they own the roadway, I just want to be clear that that issue has never been resolved. It's going to be a moot issue because, you know, they're going to pave it, and but I just want to point out that several times it was stated that they own the roadway, and I just want to be clear that that's never been legally resolved. Thanks.
Any other public comment? Any board comment? We do have to go into an executive session. So in accordance with MGL C3A 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation of O'Brien Home versus the town of Lunenburg, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the public body and the chair so declares. So I would ascertain a motion to leave our public meeting, to go into an executive session, not to return to a public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, and we need a roll call vote?
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye, Amanda.